All right, we're now sitting here live with Chad, one of the event speakers who did a workshop, and just amazing energy and information and knowledge that you're bringing to this festival at Synthesis 2012. Chad, how are you feeling today?
Excellent. Thank you very much, Sean. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. And you have some of the posters here, and what tell us about your workshop and what you're teaching here.
Yeah, so basically I'm a practicing alchemist, and my work for the last 10 years has revolved around understanding the connection between brain chemistry and spiritual experience, as well as understanding the very mathematics that allow creation to happen. Because when I discovered that the heart and the brain have a signature pattern, and that moment, when that pattern happens, it suddenly is the same pattern that we see throughout all of the cosmos wherever creation is happening. And the more I searched this phenomenon, I became familiar with traditional types of like Drunvalo Melchizedek, Nassim Haramein, Patrick Flanagan, researchers who have been exploring the connections between these things for a long time. However, at that time, I was missing a little piece of what I finally come to understand, and I'm really grateful that this is coming forth now, because here at Synthesis, we were here because of a calendar change, and we were here because of these massive pyramids. What I'm about to show you is how anyone, anywhere, at any time in history or in the cosmos could access the information for themselves that allows a pyramid to be built, allows free energy or anti-gravity to be experienced as a culture. So
I'm a visual learner myself, and I know you have some posters here.
Yeah,
so,
let's get into it.
Let's jump into it.
So anybody here familiar with the Vedic concept of a digital root? No? Okay. Well, see, in ancient India, they had mathematical scriptures, and these scriptures were understandings of math. And the people who understood these rules, like we memorize the times table, and that allows us to do longer math functions. Well, they had a system of rules that was based on geometry, that was based on something called digital roots. Digital roots shows the essence or spirit of a number, of a letter, of a name. And now watch what happens when we apply it to traditional science and traditional physics. Okay. Now I'm going to show you, but you gotta hear what I have to say for a couple of seconds in order to understand what you're going to see. All right. Now, scientists, mathematicians, and even the greatest supercomputers on the earth deny that there's any repeating pattern in the underlying patterns of the universe. For example, they call phi a transcendental number. This is go back to high school or college. Phi is a transcendental number because it transcends their understanding of what it is. It's a whole number ratio that cannot be expressed with a decimal point. So they're stuck with a never-ending solution that never comes to fruition. What I've found, and what other people as numerologists have noticed through time, is that there are repeating patterns, but you have to understand the nature of math, which is how creation creates. Creation creates not through anything other than the process of division. When you start off with a singularity, unity, you must first divide that before you have anything, and then you can add from there. Now, if you take the Fibonacci number sequence, this is an Italian mathematician who discovered that if you take 1 and divide it in half, you still have 2 ones. Add them together, 1 plus 1 is 2. Now, if the series adds whatever came before to what is, then you end up with the next number in the series. The interesting thing is that the more you do this process, the bigger the numbers get, the closer it approaches this mathematical enigma that has fooled the greatest supercomputers on the planet, and that is called phi, also known as the golden mean. Now, why golden mean? Gold is a unique atom, and we're going to see in this chart how it comes all full circle, all right? Now, check it. G-spot mathematics is what I'm calling this. G-spot stands for God spot. G is an upside-down 9. G is the golden mean. G is the golden rule. What is love? Golden rule. G is the golden age. G is the golden years of our maturity as a human species. Check it. Watch.
Let's see it.
Now, the basic concept of a spirit number and a repeating pattern found therein has been discovered on as a 1-1. Can you hold this microphone for me?
Let me hold this. You want to hold it? Sure.
Right there you go. Awesome. So this particular graph has never been done before. This reveals the pattern. No other format will. Up to this point, people have noticed that 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. The next number, 5 plus 8, is 13. But why have a 4 there? That's because a 3 plus a 1 is a 4. 13 plus 8 is 21. 2 plus 1 equals 3. We see this is called numerological reduction. It's finding the spiritual essence of any number. Now, when you do this through the entire numbers sequence of the Fibonacci number code, which is 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, 89, 144, 4 plus 4 plus 1 equals 9, see? And, 233, everything reduces to these numbers. When you get back to the 24th digit at 24, it repeats. And that is a repeating pattern throughout. And there's other repeating patterns as well, but we're not going to get into that for now. Why we call this G-spot mathematics is based on some profound understandings that happen when you start to do what I did. And I'm the first person ever. It's not on the internet anywhere. This is where the magic happens. This is what happens when you apply octave theory to the Fibonacci number sequence. Here we have the first octave in 24 sequence around this rim. And then we jump to the second octave, 2 plus 2, because that's the second octave. 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 plus 4 is 6. 4 plus 6 is 10, which 10 reduces to a 1. Plus the 6 is 16. 1 plus 6 is 7. You do that all the way around. Now, I've applied this concept through 9 octaves. Now, what happens here becomes astounding, seemingly impossible. But what we have here is perfect asymmetrical perfection. We have balanced symmetry through asymmetry. And watch. For example, here's a 1, boom, here's an 8. It resolves to a 9. Here's a 7. Here's a 2. Here it resolves to a 9. Everything in its perfect polar diametric position resolves to a 9, no matter what. This is true in nature. Understanding this principle allows the application of these ideas modeled for free energy technologies, anti-gravity technologies, clean water, clean food technologies, and also personal development technologies can allow us to harness all that we truly are. Now, the interesting thing about G-spot mathematics is I'm not here just to teach some number theory, but to teach people the access point by which all number theories and all understandings of everything in nature can be understood. The ancient astronomers, pyramid builders, Egyptians, Mayans, advanced cultures throughout time have had these understandings and apparent in their structures, which are space-time calculators, these pyramids and whatnot, different types. So what happens? Now I want to show you some strange things that are unexplainable. All right, so we've got 9 octaves, 24 on each octave. That's a total of 216 digits, each with a number. And this becomes the golden stairway, spiral staircase to the 9-hole. The 9-hole is also known as the G-spot. This is the singularity point out of which all creation comes and returns. It's a specific whole number ratio method to get there, whether you're applying it for personal development in brainwaves, using it for music and creating very compelling, enjoyable, healing music, or whether you want to create something with resonance. You're making energy. You're making a device that will have no losses because it harnesses the singularity point from which all energy comes.
So you could take this number sequence and pattern and unlock free energy and things like that.
It explains how to tune things that are based in free energy, because resonance is the capacity of feedback. A system must integrate information on the fly, real time, in order to both survive and thrive. And so what we have here is the golden mean formula for thrival. Now watch. This is some strange stuff. You get up to the 4th octave, and between the 4th and 5th octave, which reminds us 4 and 5 is 9, but between the 4th and 5th octave, you got 4, 4, 8. 4 plus 8 is 12, reduces to a 3. 12 plus 8 goes to a 20, which reduces to, keep going around. But when you do that process, you get down here and you notice 3, 1, 4, 5, 9. What is that?
The original sequence.
This 3, 1, 4, 5, 9 is perfect pi to 5 digits. Now, the most advanced mathematical geniuses in the world are telling us now that pi should be represented by pi times 2. Oh, no, they have a long formula that's incomprehensible, supposed to prove it, but look at this chart. When you begin the process on the 5th octave, you continue around, you come to the same thing, perfectly balanced, 3, 1, 4, 5, 9, and it's, again, perfect pi to 5 digits. Each one resolves to a 9, for example, 4 and 5, 9. 9 and 9 is 18. 8 plus 1 is 9. Everything always resolves to the 9-hole. Returns and comes from the singularity point. Now, check it. This is what is so impossible. This is what could never be predicted. These are the only series of 216 numbers which can encode all the whole number of mathematical ratios necessary for creation to occur. Watch. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, blah, blah, blah. Keep on going all the way around. all the way around the spiral. You get to the 9 hole, boom. And on the 9th octave, or as the 8th octave, 8 plus 8 is 16. 16 reduces to a 7. Keep on going all the way around. At the halfway mark, at the 13th, the next digit is 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 4. Wait, that sounds familiar. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 4. Yes, this number series then begins to wind itself in perfection, back on itself backwards all the way out to the beginning. That 216 digits is several things. It's the encoding of the ancient perfect form of the Gayatri Mantra, which was a template for remembering and understanding these mathematical principles. That's how the Vastu Shastra came into effect. They could build buildings that would harness and resonant tones of the earth and convert them into usable energies for healing, for rejuvenation, for their spiritual development, whatnot, meditation, yoga. Now, here's the interesting thing. When you get to that point, it winds itself back on itself. We were just talking about something. I lost my thought. I'm so sorry. You can jump in.
You're talking about how when it gets back to the balance here, it has the original sequence of what it started there.
Yeah. So Vastu Shastra. See, this is the template that they understood apparently, and the Gayatri Mantra proves that they understood this information. So I can't lay claim or credit to it. It's been around forever, and it's just only been oral tradition and not shared. Now, the Egyptians, they had it. The Mayans, they had it. And you look at the Teotihuacan pyramid of the 9 levels, 9 lords of time. Here's the 9 octaves, perfectly describing the fractal nature of time, as well as the fractal nature of space and how they fit together. Now, this 216 digits is a half front face of a toroid. If you notice that this donut hole torus here, the singularity point, if you have the other one on the back side, you'll see how it winds in both directions. And a torus is the very structure that allows communication between the inside and the outside of anything. So you have to have that in order for a dynamic feedback effect to occur. You don't have resonance until you have feedback between the inside and the outside of anything, metaphorically and physically, when you're talking about energy. Now, that 432 full number sequence of the full torus here, this is very interesting because those who study math or science or even music understand that in order for harmony to exist, you've got to have all the waves fit together in the same space without fighting. We call that destructive harmonics. Or for people, we call that a war. All right? So the same principles that apply to music apply to a peaceful society.
Wow.
Some have said that the music system that we have based on 440 was actually implemented to hold people's biology in a state of dissonance so that they would not be they'd be more controllable, more sheep-like, and just do what they're told, and
which is what's happening today.
And
it's amazing to meeting so many people here with just so much genius like this. I know you got some more
thing.
Samples.
Check it. Yeah. This is we just talked about 432. 4 plus 3 is 7 plus 2 is 9. All of the sacred numbers resolve to a 9 in every culture. Here, check this one. This is
got the foot up. That's all right.
You see here we got the 108. That's in India. The number of malas is a sacred number. It's over and over. The number of verses in the scriptures and the sutras, one after the other. That kind of thing. Well, check this out. 108. If you add a 0, you get the lunar radius. That's the lunar radius. But now alchemists say that silver resonates to the moon. Isn't it interesting then that the molar value of silver is very close to 108? Now, jumping up an octave, 108 times 2. No, wait. What is 108? Yeah, let's just do it. 108 times 2 is 216. That's the number of digits in our G-spot mathematics mandala. 216... would you mind?
Sure, yeah.
I'm so sorry. But, 216, again, is the lunar diameter. It's at a 0. It's one zodiacal age. That's how long it takes the Earth to precess. 25,920 years divided by 12 equals 2,160 years. Perfect. 216 is 9 times 24. Remember that's how many digits we have in our mandala. Now, what else is it? 216 is 6 times 6 times 6. Well, that's interesting. Now, some people say, oh, that's 3 6s. Isn't that a little spooky? And I say, no. I mean, you can interpret things the way you want, but I believe 666 applies to the carbon atom. We are carbon-based life forms. It's 6 electrons, 6 neutrons, 6 protons, and all men and all beasts have it. And the superconductive qualities of our potential may someday transcend carbon, but for now, here we are. Nevertheless, mathematically, here's a little miniature 10-second lesson in Vedic math. 6 times 6 times 6 is 216, but add a 0, and watch this. 6 times 15, which reduces to a 6, times 24, the next number in the series reducing to a 6, equals 2,160. Crazy. Well, now, jumping up an octave, we have the full number of digits in the series of a full toroid. Here's 432, 432. That's the radius of the sun with 2 zeros added.
Wow.
Right? Now, check it. Jupiter, the number of days it takes for it to go completely through its cycle and land in the same spot from our perspective on Earth, called synodic revolution, 4,320 days. Now, jump up an octave, 864. Now we have the diameter of the sun. We're going to just jump up the octaves a little bit more here, and you come to 2592. Add a 0, you got 25,920, exactly the number of years in the precession of the equinox. If it's off by a year or two, it's probably the measurements being taken and not the harmony of the universe. That's according to the ancient Vedic teachers. Anyway, up an octave, 31104, the number of, with 3 zeros added, the number of seconds in a year. Jump up an octave a few times, and you reach 186624. Any idea what that is?
How many minutes are in a year?
I have that for you next. But first, 186624 is actually the speed of light. You know what else it is? It's the exact perfect mathematical square of the sun's radius, 432. 432 squared equals the speed of light. Oh, that's crazy. The speed of light equals the square of the radius of the thing it came from. Okay, so this is just a lesson in the harmony of the universe. Understanding these harmonies allows several things. One, the breakthroughs in science, technology, and humanitarian objectives, like we just talked about, but also in personal development. How many people feel good when they're singing?
Yeah.
How many people feel good when they're, that there's a place that poets and musicians and people who are in touch with their feelings and their mind are able to access, and that's called hemispheric synchronization. It's when the corpus callosum, a nerve bundle between the two hemispheres of the brain, begins to communicate at an accelerated rate. And at that point, there's no inhibition, there's no false external egoic control mechanisms preventing a person from sharing who and what they are, which is usually simply a matter of self-judgment. People don't want to be seen for who they are because they've judged themselves. And so this is the golden mean formula for something known as the golden rule. The golden rule is love. And it's interesting that when a person feels love, people who study brain waves and the heart waves have noticed that the brain waves align to this golden mean ratio. And what that means is, like, for example, when you're dreaming, that's a brainwave state of very slow waves. They call that theta, anywhere from 3 to 7 cycles per second. When you're doing math, though, you're doing like 13, 20, 50 cycles per second. They call that beta. Do you know anybody that can do dreaming and math at the same time?
No, I don't.
No, myself either. But in this accelerated state of genius, what happens is a little bit of this stuff begins to happen, and as the brainwaves approach this golden mean relationship, you are able to nest non-destructively multiple waves in the same space, just like a radio station. They're all here all the time. We have to selectively tune to the one we want to hear with equipment, but in brainwaves, the same is true. They don't interfere with each other if they arrange themselves to the golden mean. So when you've got delta, 3 cycles per second, theta, 5, alpha, which is super relaxed, chilling with your friends, you're doing 13 cycles per second, then all of a sudden math, beta, helping out people, focused, 21, 55 cycles a second. But when they're precisely attuned to that whole number ratio found in nature, they can exist at the same time. Then suddenly we have a bleed-through effect where there's no inhibition. The brain is beyond the circuits it was built for. It's actually a superconductive antenna. And that's what it's designed for. Yeah. So.
Wow, amazing stuff. My head is spinning right now. It's amazing. And how long did it take you to figure this stuff? How long have you been working on these sequences?
Well, I've been studying sacred geometry, as they call it now, as well as alchemy, herbology, things like that, for about 17 to 20 years. I began studying free energy at Tesla. I actually came to a lot of these understandings by studying the work of Nikola Tesla. He said, if you understand the secret of the 3, 6, and 9, you will understand the secrets of the universe. And he was also somebody who, like the Mayans, said that Venus was in part responsible. He'd meditate under the night sky, and it was the early morning, last thing there, and early dusk, the only star hanging out with, from the perspective of a person. Now, it's interesting that even though I learned a lot from reading his writings, it was really, it's like, I tell you what, this is a synthesis event. We've all been awake for days.
Yes, we have. Everyone is a little drained. It's the last day here, but it's been amazing.
Yeah.
And before we go, Chad, I saw you do an amazing performance the other night on the opening ceremony on Thursday here, and you said an amazing poetical rhyme. So if you would, say a little something for the listeners out there, because that was just, I was blown away by that.
All right. Well, I thank you, Sean, for the feedback. Yeah, I really just want to, share. Basically, where this all comes from is the same place the heart opens in love from. And that's the power and potential of being alive as a human. And so, it was with that that this poetry came through, and it didn't come through all at once. It come through a few verses at a time. I've never written it, but I remember only a few verses at a time, so it's not a problem. It just kind of goes together different every time. But it's the concept of what happens when we erase the line in the sand and realize that we are all this particular essence looking through all eyes, and that anything I could possibly look at and say, that is not me, that is not me saying that. I am everything. You are everything. Everything is connected, and that's where the G-spot mathematics shows there's a singularity point. So we can talk all day and show numbers, or we can surrender to the flow.
That's it. Surrender to the flow.
You are the thinker. You are the thought. You are the seeker. You are the sought. You are the seer and the seen, the dreamer and the dream, the candle and the flame, the hunter and the game, the slayer and the slain, the bullet and the bang, the bullet and the bang. The terror on the plains, the tiger in the bushes and the venom in the fangs, the river, the rock, the time, the clock, the water, the whale, the wind in your sail. You're the singer, you're the song, you're the lover's lifelong. You're a skin boat built afloat through the moat to the castle in the sky. You're a water-walking monk and the flickers in his eye. You're the way, you're the door, you're the less, you're the more. You're the legend, you're the lore. You're the spirit at the core, the night and the day. You're the legend in the middle of the peyote. You're the seed, you're the weed, you're the root, you're the fruit. You're the trunk, you're the tree, you're the Kabbalah in the garden of the free. You're the mud, you're the blood, you're the wine, you're the divine. You're the body, you're the bread, you're the temple and the tomb for the living and the dead. You're a knight, you're a knave, you're a womb, you're a grave. You're a mother's love and the life she gave. You're the solar sun, making love with night. And that is how we ignite. Now we are all skin boats, built to float through the moat to the castle in the sky. And we got to row these boats through streams of frozen time to sever the bonds and mortal ties of enslaved soul and other lies. That it be known is for the tick and the talk of our heart clock, that this earth rock be spinning to the tune of a new song that's just beginning, to sing our souls from above, as verse by verse we learn to love who we are, as God in flesh, as God in blood. Of the light through the mud we walk this path like lotus bud, 'cause we swore to serve on a planet gone mad, to hold the hand of all life through to the promised land. So don't just stand there, make a choice. Move your ass, use your voice. Walk the talk and talk the walk of a higher vibration, as ambassadors of a high holy nation, not bought with blood, but by initiation into the one love revelation that we are all the who in the eye of the great I am.
Amen. Oh, thank you, brother, for spending the time and explaining this amazing stuff and sharing your knowledge with the world. Thank you for that amazing work you're doing.
Thank you. And I want to give thanks to everybody who put so much energy into making this what it was. I want to give special thanks to Deborah Gusti and Michael DiMartino and Sochi Ray and Sean and the whole team, the media team. I want to give thanks for every single person that made the sacrifices, unknown, uncounted, millions of dollars of sweat, blood, and tears went into this production, and people pushed forward for one reason. It's because it had to happen. People needed what we brought, and at any cost, we brought it.
That's right. Aho. Thank you, Chad.
It's the same pattern that we see throughout all of the cosmos, wherever creation is happening. And the more I searched this phenomenon, I became familiar with traditional types of like Drunvalo Melchizedek, Nassim Haramein, Patrick Flanagan, researchers who have been exploring the connections between these things for a long time. However, at that time, I was missing a little piece of what I finally come to understand, and I'm really grateful that this is coming forth now, because here at Synthesis, we were here because of a calendar change, and we were here because of these massive pyramids. What I'm about to show you is how anyone, anywhere, at any time in history or in the cosmos could access the information for themselves that allows a pyramid to be built, allows free energy or anti-gravity to be experienced as a culture.
So I'm a visual learner myself, and I know you have some posters here.
Yeah,
so,
let's get into it.
Let's jump into it.
So anybody here familiar with the Vedic concept of a digital root? No? Okay. Well, see, in ancient India, they had mathematical scriptures, and these scriptures were understandings of math. And the people who understood these rules, like we memorize the times table, and that allows us to do longer math functions. Well, they had a system of rules that was based on geometry, that was based on something called digital roots. Digital roots shows the essence or spirit of a number, of a letter, of a name. And now watch what happens when we apply it to Drij.
Some of the posters here, and tell us about your workshop and what you're teaching here.
Yeah, so basically I'm a practicing alchemist, and my work for the last 10 years has revolved around understanding the connection between brain chemistry and spiritual experience, as well as understanding the very mathematics that allow creation to happen. Because when I discovered that the heart and the brain have a signature pattern, and that moment, when that pattern happens, it suddenly is.
All right, we're now sitting here live with Chad, one of the event speakers who did a workshop, and just amazing energy and information and knowledge that you're bringing to this festival at Synthesis 2012. Chad, how are you feeling today?
Excellent. Thank you very much, Sean. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. And you have some